Greetings, folks. Hello, Monique. You were definitely early. You got 3 solid minutes before we started. So, hi everybody. It's Lunch with Mal. We're live, or perhaps you're watching this on a replay, which I appreciate tremendously. I'm always amazed by how many people watch the replay of this. Like even my sister watches the replay of this. I didn't know that until today. Um, but no, it's really cool, and I'm glad that so many people tune in to hear me ramble and talk about a variety of whatevers that I might be chatting about. Today, I got some stuff I'm going to talk about Facebook, um, some changes they're making that I think are pretty cool. Nothing I can show yet, but soon. A project I'm working on that I also think is pretty cool that I'm going to hint at a bit. Uh, Author Ring, which is out, and I chatted with the Lore Oracle, which I talked about a bit last week, but I couldn't show because I'd been tinkering with it and it was offline. It's still under heavy development, but coming along really nicely. Um, so yeah, there's a ton of stuff going on right now. I just realized I can't actually show you the admin side, the Lore Oracle yet. That's okay, but I can show you what the reader side looks like. Um, so yeah, some really cool stuff coming on. Plus, also had a conversation with BookFunnel this week and with Curios this week. I'm not going to like share any of the cool stuff they're doing, but I'll talk about some of the things I chatted about with them that I think are really exciting. And I'm pretty sure I can keep everything under wraps. I'll be okay with that. So yeah, I'm going to chat a bit about Author Ring. Actually, what I was talking, it was funny. I was talking with Greg from Curios. Curios is like Shopify. Actually, no, it's like Etsy before Etsy sucked for digital sellers. Um, and kind of the idea, like the thing I really like about Curios is it lets you have your own storefront, kind of like a la Shopify style. So you can make it look like your own thing. It can be unique. It can be just yours. It can be on your own domain, but they're the seller of record, which means that with Curios, they pay all the taxes. And I think that's actually a really cool thing because that's one of the things a lot of authors are like, I'd like to sell direct, but I don't want to have to like register to pay taxes in all 50 states. Whereas Curios does that. Other companies that are also thinking about doing this in the author space also are thinking along the lines of that seller of record thing. They pay the tax and you get a commission. Curios has a pretty neat thing where they give you 100% commission. So the price that you list your book at is the price that you get, and then the reader will see an additional fee for the platform cost and the credit card processing fees and any taxes that need to be collected. They've got an option now too where the author can like eat that, and people could just buy it the price it's listed at. So you can kind of go either way. You can go the like I get 100%, and the reader clearly sees what's being added on, or the way where that stuff just happens in the background, which I think is really cool, actually. I like the level of transparency that they're bringing to that over on the Curios side. So that's pretty cool. And they also have a marketplace. So we chatted about that. And the idea is that they're going to put Author Ring into Curios. Their person who's doing that is away right now, but the plan is like we'll start chatting about it next week about making it so authors with Curios websites can put Author Ring right in there. They love it. They were especially, it was interesting. He asked a bit of a leading question about like, how does the ring work? How do people navigate through Author Ring? And I'm like, well, there's no algorithms. There's no determination of like what we think you should see next or anything like that. There's no system to game. It's just in order. And then my plan is actually the order will shuffle every week. I haven't put that in yet because we don't have enough people yet to really worry about that. The rings are small enough that a reader could navigate through them all pretty quickly, but eventually, like we'll shuffle. And by order, actually, let me show you guys what I'm talking about here, because some of you may not have seen Author Ring yet. And good morning, Tim. How are you doing? So we've actually got. I thought we had over 100 authors, but not all of them are active yet. That was the thing. So we're sweet. That's awesome, Monique. So yeah, so we're cooking. We got a lot of authors here already. Got 36 rings, 9 top level genres. And so if I do, and so this is where readers could come if they were to, and we haven't started really pushing this site to readers at all yet, but that will happen eventually. I'll go to fantasy, and it'll pick romantic fantasy. And we'll see here, that was actually interesting. It said that there were 6 authors in romantic fantasy. Oh, apparently we just got a 6th author, and I was getting a cached page before. One of the cool things about this, by the way, is that this site, readers.authoring.net, statically generates all the pages. So they're all indexable by search engines and by generative search engines like so Claude and OpenAI and all that can see that. They're all welcome to cruise through this website and pull it all up. So as this website, readers.authoring.net, gets more cred, it will then pass some of that cred on to all the sites that we link to. So super cool, I think. You can see here too, like all these different authors in here, what they sell, and if they've uploaded a picture or a logo, then we see that here as well. So we'll start with Nova, and so we got their site, and then Authoring loads up at the top here. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see it a bit more, because I deliberately have it pretty small. I don't want it to be big. I don't want it to take away from an author's website. If someone comes to your website to buy from you, I want their primary focus to be on them buying from you, and then authoring being a thing that they might notice afterward. I think once people do notice it, like, previous author, random, next author will just become kind of like, they'll just get it. So, we've got Nova's website here, and then we hit next on the author ring. We land on Candace's website. Here's that. And this is romantic fantasy. Candace has all of the above. So the page we landed on right here actually is pimping a sci-fi book, but Candace does have we got adult fairy tale retellings, paranormal, magical romances. So all that's in there. I'm not going to worry about curating people what they show too much. I think that if your store sells a type of book, then you can be in that ring. It doesn't need to be the first thing people see when they land on here. Bethany Adams romantic fantasy. We've got Dax Murray romantic fantasy, and the readers can just go through the ring and it just pulls them up. Vera Nazarian also obviously has romantic fantasy here in the mix, and I think the last one, there's one more author that will hit on the ring, and this is Skye McKinnon. I've actually identified a bug on this one. We have some things in author ring where we've named certain elements in our code here, a thing that must be the same name on this page. So we're gonna have to go through, I'm gonna have to do a run, go through and make sure that we've made sure that all of our names for all of our things in the author in the UI, like behind the scenes, the code names, the CSS names, won't collide with an author's website, because that's what's happened here. For some reason, it's collided with an author website, and we're loading some of their styles into our system. So yeah, so it's looking really good. We've got a lot of, and we're back here at Nova again. So the system is cooking. We've actually got stuff working pretty nicely here. We got people in it. The system is live, which I think is amazing. It's always one of those things, right? You're like, if I build it, will they come? I don't know yet, how much readers are using it. That's a thing that I haven't put the tracking in for that yet. That's a to-do for next week. This is one of those things, right? You as you grow, you will then have the new problems that come with growth. But I don't want to you also don't want to build everything in advance before you know if it's going to get used. So we got enough people now that I can actually collect some data, and I can be like, wow, readers, and eventually be able to say wow, readers in romance click on this way more than readers in horror, or vice versa. Who knows? So it's gonna be pretty cool, and we'll get to be able to figure some stuff out about reader behavior. But yes, the guys at Curios were so excited when I told them there's no algorithms. They're like, that is the best thing. They're afraid that would be another system that authors have to game, and there's no gaming this system. It's just, you're in the ring, readers will find you. The ring gets shuffled once a week so that it stays natural. So that readers don't always go through the exact same path, because that could end up benefiting certain people. And it creates more backlinks on your website, more things linking to your website that the search engines find. And that helps all of us actually increase our ranking for search engine results. So that's a cool thing I didn't actually talk about before, that I think is pretty awesome, and I'm pretty stoked about. So that's cruising along. The rings are filling up. One of the things too that we've done right now is that the next author, previous author, random, your site won't be reachable on that until you actually install the ring, but you will show up on the reader website, readers.authorring.net as soon as we approve you. That way, the reason why we did this way is that readers don't just dead end if they land on a site that hasn't installed the code yet. So we didn't want that, because I really, really want the reader experience to be good and consistent so readers trust the system. So yeah, so Curios, probably in about 2 weeks, we'll actually make it so they're going to have it. It's something that Damon and I have to do a little bit more chatting about some specifics, but we'll be getting it as a thing that could even exist on download pages on BookFunnel. So I've a bit of thinking about how I want to do that, but there's some stuff coming from BookFunnel that will make that make more sense. But eventually it could be something that could be on download pages for BookFunnel as well. So some cool stuff. And we have a call with Kickstarter coming up pretty soon. Don't know if that will go anywhere because I don't think Kickstarter is going to let someone else load something onto their website. That being said, maybe Kickstarter will build a similar thing. Like, it doesn't need to be us running it everywhere. If Kickstarter develops some sort of like BookRing Kickstarter system within Kickstarter for authors, I will give them any thoughts, input, knowledge I have. I don't have to be the one that owns everything. Or we, in general, including Jill in that, obviously. We don't feel that need. So cool things could be happening, and this is the best thing too, right? Is decentralization. One of the things that actually Greg, I might have said this already. I think I started saying this and segued away. Greg from Curios mentioned, he's like, oh, this is like StumbleUpon. I'm like, you're a millennial, not a Gen Xer. Because Gen Xers remember blog rings and the GeoCities rings that we used to do back in the day, and a millennial would probably actually remember StumbleUpon a lot more. But yeah, like if you remember StumbleUpon, it's kind of like that too. What do you mean I need to change my mindset on that? Jill said, well, you need to change your mindset on that. Do you mean on like making this something that anybody can use? I don't have to own it. It's just out there to help everyone. I think it's a good mindset, unless you're referring to something else. So yeah, authoring, it's cruising, it's live. I'm building out some stuff like a support system so people can like hit contact and we get like a form and an email. And then maybe we can even reply. Right now it's really basic, but I need people to make it so people can attach images. Working a little bit of debugging, making sure that the widget loads properly everywhere. That's going to be one of those things that I can't anticipate all the scenarios. We'll have to sort of feel that out as it goes. I am planning on making it though, one of the things I do want to make it is so that if you're an author, like for people, if you have more than one pen name, you have to register a separate account because it's really kind of based around one pen name per account. Maybe down the road I could change that. But the other thing I'm going to be doing is if you have one pen name, but you write wildly different things, different parts of your website could be on different author rings, or you could have entirely different websites for different rings. That will be coming too, because I think that will be useful for a lot of people. Oh my goodness, Monique, you're kicking it. You're killing it. Oh, I definitely want to push Kickstarter to use our system, Honey being Jill, for those of you who don't know, she's my wife. But I'm at the end of the day, if we could do something that benefits authors, that's the mindset that I want to have primarily. But the other thing I want to show you guys is the Lore Oracle. I was going to show it last week, and it was in the shop. It wasn't working. So this is the user interface for the Lore Oracle. Let me actually make sure you guys can see this well. I'm going to temporarily turn off that. And what if I do this? There we go. Now you guys can see everything a little bit better. So the Lore Oracle is a system where this is something I eventually want to make available to other authors to sign up for and use. This will be a little bit more expensive than authoring because it takes a bunch of juice to run it. But it's for, you upload your books into the system. We chunk the books. We create what's called a registry of all the characters, places, locations, and events in your book and all that sort of thing. And then we have like these multiple layers that it goes through to figure out what parts of your book or all your books to look into to find things. So because it can be tricky, like if you're like me, I have 130 books. They span 5,000 years. Obviously, not all the characters are in every book. So if I say to the Lore Oracle, I need to know about character XYZ, first it checks the registry. The registry says, this is this character. Also, they're also known by these other names, like Joseph Evans is also Commander Evans, is Captain Evans, stuff like that. And then it says and then it has other context clues like Joe and Sanvi are only ever together in these 2 books. So then it knows which ones to go look. And then it finds the appropriate chunks of your books and sends them back. Because one of the things, if you've ever tried to have AI read your book, AI doesn't actually read your whole book. It breaks your book up into small little chunks, and then it has a system to try and figure out which of those chunks are the ones it should be looking at for your book, which is why a lot of times if you plug a book into some sort of AI platform and just trying to use it to help research and introspect your book, it misses things and gets them wrong. The Lore Oracle's goal is to make it so that every time you ask the AI question about the book, it will read somewhere between 5 and 10,000 words of text that is targeted correctly for what you want. So it's a bit of it was a bit of work to get that done. It takes multiple computers and layers and all sorts of stuff. But I could just say, like, tell me about Trist. Trist is a character in one of my books. He appears in 3 of them, actually 4 if you count an extended edition. So it can take a little bit to get this response. I think I can hear the computer in the other room spinning up. There we go. I'm actually working on making this faster. Right now, I'm going to be tripling the processing power for it. And it actually gives you like this nice write-up. Like Triss is a central character in AM14, particularly within the Intrepid saga. She's known for sharp wit, street smart personality, and deep emotional connections with those she cares about. Importantly, she does not have a last name, which distinguishes her from other characters. This actually came about because I've been working on training the AI about how some characters do and do not have last names, because it was getting confused as to who certain people were, because it was expecting last names. Now all characters in my books have last names. I got where she grew up, skills and abilities, personality, her role in the story. She's one of the most dynamic characters, a former thief who becomes an integral part of key missions and relationships. Would you like to know about her relationship with Jessica or any other details? And I could say, like, yeah, yes, oops, yes, tell me about Trist and Jessica. And then it will go off and do that. It also tells you which chapter in the different books it pulled these things from. Right now, you can't also see the text. I want to make it so that you can even see the text. And the part 1 means like the book, the chapter, the Cho might have actually been broken up into 20, well, probably not 20 parts, but maybe 5-10 parts, because each part that it makes is only about 400 to 500 words long, plus a bit of metadata about what book it was from, and some other details are up at the top of each part. So it makes for a pretty cool system here. This one's cooking a bit. I can actually hear the server in the other room just cranking as the fan's running pretty hard as it comes up a lot faster. But I think this could be a really useful thing for authors who, want a way to introspect their books better, or would like to open this up to readers. It doesn't have to be something you open up to readers. It just could be something for you, or it could be something that you open up to readers as well. So it's like, certainly Tristan and Jessica are 2 emotionally complex, compelling characters. So it's got tells us about both of the characters, where they meet, their developing bond, how they interact in different stories. It gets one thing wrong. It thinks this one event happened in OutSystem and thinks it Trist's friend. So that's some of the stuff the registry, which is not done yet, will fix. It'll help deal with some of those problems in the story. But yeah, you can actually ask it things, and I'm going to make it so that even for readers, hey, if it gets something wrong, here's what you can try to do. Try to give it more context. Try to give it other characters that might have appeared around the same time, that sort of thing. But it's pretty exciting. It's really cooking along pretty nicely. I mean, there are books Triss could still show up in, honey. Can it plot your sequel after using the Lore Oracle based on open threads? So one thing you could do with it is if you use AI to maybe to help you plot, or to keep track, like Jill said, of open threads in your stories, or to help you look for open threads in your stories, the Lore Oracle system is going to be pluggable into other AI platforms. So you could actually make it a resource if you use ChatGPT or you use Gemini or Claude or anything like that. You could say hey, make a connection to the Lore Oracle and introspect my books and find these things out, and then let's find open threads. So the Lore Oracle itself won't do that sort of thing, but it can provide the information for another AI to do it. So it doesn't have to be something that you just query manually. Your AI could actually talk to the Lore Oracle and then find things out about your stories, find threads or anything like that. It's an entirely pluggable system. So I think that's going to be really exciting, especially for authors that have a lot of books or have trouble remembering things. I think it's going to be really interesting and exciting to get something like this available. And I think it'll be different pricing tiers. If you just want to use it yourself for access, that'll be one pricing tier. And if you want to actually have your readers be able to use it, that'll be a different pricing tier. And it'll just all be based on how many queries are being done and whatnot. The super exciting thing about the Lore Oracle is that your books never end up on some corporation servers. Everything is designed to run entirely um, entirely on my server. So no one else is accessing it. No one else is hitting it up or anything like that. And I was actually explaining to Damon um, about how this system works and how I'm doing it with the chunking and breaking up the books and all that. Damon from BookFunnel, he's the guy that started BookFunnel and owns it with his wife. And he was quite interested because he needs a way to check the books that are on BookFunnel, of which there are something like 800,000 of them now, to make sure that they don't have any P-word stuff in them, because he'd be liable for that. So right now they have a they don't have like a very robust detection system. They do have stuff in place, but he would love something where the book could be read in much more thoroughly by an AI, and then it could flag books for a human to go look at, and then a human would make a decision. So there's some pretty interesting stuff that that could come out of that. I'm actually already thinking about like building a data center and having something like that cooking, where maybe I could even offer that as a service to all other people who are hosting books. Like, hey, fling your library at this service, it'll crunch through them all and it'll flag anything that looks suspicious that you might want to take a look at. So, and then it would all be like, nothing would be on with corporations. It would all be hosted, by another author or by a small company that you would trust. So like I said, like I'm super stoked about it. It's really exciting stuff. And I know a lot of people have like very mixed feelings about AI and what it does, but I tell you, there's stuff that is out there now that I just like. This Lore Oracle thing, I've tried getting humans to put together book Bibles for my stuff. I've paid multiple people many thousands of dollars to try to make this, and everybody has failed. The fans have done a decent job in a couple of places creating stuff like this, but even they can't do it all. It's just so much content. So this would never have existed if it wasn't for the ability of to have an AI built system that could do that. So I definitely think there are a lot of really good things coming out of AI. There's drudgery that just does not have to be done anymore, and I'm all about not drudgerying. Long Deck 2, one of the things we have right now is we have some authors that have applied with websites that the widget can't go on. Like if you're with Curios or something like that, that will be a little bit. We haven't actually messaged all those people to say like, hey, here's why we haven't approved you yet. What you could do is you could just email myself or Jill, Mallory or Jill at thewritingwives.net.com. And then just say like, hey, I applied under this name. Just curious why I haven't been approved yet. It could be, there was like a couple of people that applied and their store was still said coming soon as well. So there's might be some stuff like that. That might be why someone didn't get approved for authoring yet. So it's either, if it's been a bit, that's probably what it is. And we're working on getting the tools to more easily communicate with everybody about why that might be the case. Yes, regarding like a book Bible, Tim, who's Pig Monster, I just use him as my book Bible because he's just one of my readers. He knows everything, which is part of why I stopped paying humans to do it. Not to say that Tim's not a human; he's just an unpaid human because he's a reader. Yeah, so we're working on making ways where we can communicate better with authors why we might not have approved them yet and what we think they need to do. One of the things we had to do is some authors were applying and the URL they put in was incorrect. And we didn't have a way for admins to edit their URL yet. So now we've got that, so we can fix people's URLs if we see there's a mistake with it or something, because that's happened a couple of times. So we're getting there. We're working on getting the system streamlined and improved for authoring, but it's taking off pretty fast. Like the fact that we've got like almost 100 authors that actually have like the widget installed and everything in under a week is super exciting. I guess it's 8 days if you count the soft launch we did last Wednesday, but really we didn't really start cooking until Thursday. And I've got like a to-do list as long as my arm of cool features I want to build into it. But I'm also like excited to work on the Lore Oracle too. It's really cool too, because in the back end of the Lore Oracle, when you upload your book, it then goes and like looks at all your chapters, and then you can flag them as narrative, things to skip, like your foreword or dedication or something like that, appendixes and recap. because that can be very useful for the AI to sort of like ground itself and know where things are in the story. So everything, you can actually like set metadata, flag every chapter for what it is, and then the system chunks it all up. And then the next step will be building the UI for like the registrar. So the system will go through like all your books and be like, hey, you know, here's all the places we found, here's all the characters we found, and you can say like, oh, these characters are actually the same person, you know, or this place is like a nickname for this other place or something like that. So the AI then knows that when someone asks about, you know, the shop, it also means like, you know, J&J's auto repair. Like it knows that those two things are the same place. So it, you know, so really, it's really exciting. So yeah, that's been something I've been working on quite a bit. I think it's going to be a game changer for authors as well. I think there's been a lot of game changers coming. I think that I'm really excited because now, after talking with BookFunnel and some of the things they're planning on doing, talking with Curios, and then also knowing some of the other things that are going on out there, I think that authors are getting really close to a much stronger decentralized marketing scenario where we can all better market our books and not have to rely so much on the retailers, but also not have to do the full lift on our own all the time. You know, not have to like pay all the money for building these websites from scratch, you know, and paying all these hosting fees to not having to pay the whole load for advertising and discoverability and stuff like that. And actually, that's why I wanted to mention, hey, Peter, how's it going? I want to double back to Curios, because if you are interested, Curios actually has a tier that's free. So if you want to get into direct sales, you know, like, you know, offering maybe one or two books, doing some print books or something like that, that you would then currently have to ship them or connect with some on-demand service, but you don't want to have to be paying $40 a month for a Shopify website and all this sort of thing. You should really check out Curios, because they have a way they have a plan that will get you. I think that their base plan is free. You move very few units free, then you have to move up to a paid plan. But if you just want to get started and have a thing and not have to invest money into another monthly subscription, definitely check out Curios. I think every author should with now that we have people like them in the mix. We're getting to the point where every author could be doing some kind of direct sales without increasing monthly subscription costs, you know, to an unreasonable degree. So I think they're super awesome for that. And then Jill mentioned above, she put the link in chat. I'll put it in again. Oh, actually, I can't, because I can't copy it. Well, there it is. Our Get Fluent Facebook Ads workshop. The next one is coming in May, and it's called Scroll Stopping Creative. Because in the existing ads class, I only really spent one day on actually images and video, because I want to be more around the changes in the Facebook interface and how to measure was the most important thing. And we didn't do too much on creative. So it's going to be a 6 to 8 week class. I think it's probably going to go 8 weeks on how to make better creative techniques, tips, tools that you can use. We're probably gonna have 2 or 3 classes on different AI products to help you make some stuff. And I tell you, there's some of the stuff you can make with AI now is so mind blowing that I think it'll be kind of crazy not to. I've got Nova, whose site we actually saw when I was walking through AuthorRing. They're making me a trailer for a new book I'm working on, and it's like studio quality stuff. It's amazing. Now I want my book to be a movie because it looks so good. So we're going to get into stuff like that. How to basically make scroll stopping creative, just like it says, you know, how to do a better job at that, how to build more of them, how to test more, how to just create, you know, a plethora of images and text and all that sort of thing that's going to help you get, you know, find more people everywhere, better stuff for your newsletter, better stuff for social media posts, better stuff for ads, better stuff for everywhere. That's where one of the things really can be focused on. And then there is a thing I'm working on that I really do hope that eventually I can roll it out to authors to use. It's a system that pulls in reporting data from both attribution and Facebook, and then actually analyzes your ads in more detail automatically. to figure out which ads are working and ads aren't. It basically takes everything that I do manually and that I've taught people to do manually and does it all automatically. It's a giant pain in the butt to set up, because getting API access through both of these platforms to do this kind of make these kinds of calls has been a challenge. And right now I have it working for me. Getting it to work for other people is going to be will be another step. But I'm like, the more I'm working with this thing and building it out, like I want to make it so you can be like, here's all my text, here's all my creative, here's my best targets, my best audiences that I've used. Make me 10 test ads, and it just goes out and makes them all, right? And then like a week later, it's like, here's how your 10 test ads fared, and it pulls in all the data from all the different places. So I've got some amazing plans there. And I might be able to roll this out to everybody to use. But it's going to take a while, and it'll cost some money, because it costs a lot of money to build this sort of thing and to make it secure. That's like a really big part of it too, because it has access to people's ad accounts and can spend their money. So obviously it needs to be secure. 8 weeks of the current syllabus. Awesome. That's my plan. I mean, I have 6 weeks of classes planned out, and I just know it's going to take 8 weeks, because that's me. I'm glad you're excited, Kate. I'm excited too. It's going to be a good time. And it's going to start after our April trips. I've got a conference in Toronto I'm going to mid-April, and then after that we're going to Calgary for a week for the Fan Expo that's there, and a few other things. So once that's done, we'll be hitting it. So it'll go through, like, I think the last week of April, pretty much pretty deep into June. Probably the 3rd or 4th week of June is when it will wrap up. And then hopefully you guys are going to have just a ton of tools for making better ad creative. It's going to be cool too, because we're going to look at, like, Midjourney. We're not going to look at Sora, because that's gone. But all sorts of different tools for making video, making images, and both manually and with AI. So if you're not keen on the AI stuff, you can just skip those classes. You don't have to come to them. It's fine. But so we'll cover both ways. And I think it's important to understand both ways anyway, because even if you're like, I really want to use AI, understanding how to manually make good videos will allow you to take AI videos and make them better, cut in your own stuff, all sorts of things like that. So, first week of May. Okay. I had said last week of April, but I am calendarly impaired. Yeah, it is going to, yeah, it probably will be the first week of May. Jill's right. It's all up on the site, so you guys can check it out. If you go to the writingwives.net.com, I mean, why I keep saying .net, it'll take you to our school site, and then you can see all the stuff that we're doing there. You're right, honey. I was just off on my calendar dates. So I think that's everything I got. I hope you guys are loving Authoring if you're using it. I don't know that we're like at a point yet where anyone's going to see a really big change in their site traffic or anything, but that's something we're building to, right? Like we have to get some gestalt. Is that the right word? Maybe build up gestalt. We got to get build up ahead of steam, and then we'll start going. I'm going to be adding in tracking, and then once we get more people on the platform too, make some tweaks to the reader website to make it, I think, a little bit better flow for readers. We're actually going to start taking money that we're getting from people paying for Authoring. Most people are on coupons, but some people actually are not using the coupon and they're paying, which I deeply appreciate. We're start running ads to drive readers into the system as well. So it'll be sort of a good thing that's going to help everyone. It's probably because Authoring is .net. Yeah, it's in my brain. And I was doing some stuff with Soyarma.net too, my personal domain that I use for random stuff. That's got .net in my head as well. So I'm going to call it here. I'll be talking a lot more about the ad creative stuff, maybe even showing some things. I actually wanted to get a video to show you guys that Nova's working on for me, just to kind of show the things that are possible, but I didn't have it on this computer. So we'll see that next week. Nova might even have the full one. It's a 1.5-minute like movie quality trailer. It's mind blowing how good it is. So I'm pretty stoked to show you guys that. And then maybe you end up to saying, I want to learn how to do this myself. And maybe you're like, I'll just hire Nova to do this. You might go that route as well. But yeah, some really sweet things coming. And then Authoring, we've got a lot of cool plans for it. We're working on more integrations, getting it more places, getting more people aware of it. I'm going to be talking about Russell Nolte's podcast today and everything. So if you're on Authoring and you're like, what are you doing now to make this thing bigger? we're working on it. We're not just, this isn't a set it and forget it. If we build it, they will come sort of thing. It's, we're going to build it and we're gonna like get it in front of people so that we don't, it's not just going to passively collect people and whatnot. So that's the plan there. I'm going to go because I've got very little water left and my voice is starting to give out on me. But I hope you all have an absolutely fabulous day, a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. I bet you I'm going to have some pretty cool things to show you next week that you might be quite excited about. All right. Have a good one, folks.